Today, I'm going to send 1,000 of every block to the end, except for candy cane blocks because I'm not that renowned in buildable history, and neon blocks because I'm literally broke. So here are the rules. I will be using the scale tool, but in exchange, the only other non-scalable block I can have is a single throne, and it cannot be a glitch. Balloons and parachutes do not count as blocks that I can use, and I cannot use the throne to somehow attach myself to my build, meaning if it can be turned into a rod type grinder, it cannot be used. Now with those out of the way, I will be going to 3 separate categories of blocks from weakest to strongest that should be time-stamped in this video. Basic blocks like wood and marble, building blocks like smooth wood, yes I count this as a category, and unique blocks like plastic and foil. The first block will be the wood block with 1 hit point per block. For this run, I'm going to try avoiding damage by giving my base platform thick supports to go over small rocks and prevent it from phasing through the water like I saw last time I tested this concept. And yes, I allow this because it technically still takes 1,000 wood blocks. Now this has a total of 1,000 hit points, and for the first 3 stages, it does a well job of saving me some hits and surviving longer. But as I approach the many more stages, these tornadoes flex their duplicates of my boat platform, and like, why? The circus stage had all of these things flying to me, so I attempted to make them miss my bow, but regardless, I lost my seat. You may know the arcade stage for the Zed plushie prize and the boat invaders, and for some reason, some of their shots go completely over my head, but when I approach the fish stage is where my first parts break, and... other than that failure, I still got a fair amount of gold. The second block will be the stone block with 2 hit points per block. For this run, I tried to make this super long and super thin so that I'm not on a tightrope when this thing is close to death's doorstep. Now this has a total of 2,000 hit points, so survival rates should be high. Oh, wait, do the fish actually do damage to my bow? Well, I guess not, so that's fortunate. This stage here, this freaking stage. Oh my, that's not good. Please flip me back to normal. 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 Please flip me back. Oh my god.
By Nielsen, bouncing puck, Edmund turns and shoots, he scores!
This stage was interesting because A, that icon makes no sense, and B, my boat took a smaller amount of damage than I thought, but still made an impact to my survivability nonetheless. And now my humanoid root part is broken, and I'm nothing more than a corpse. Where's the worthy one plush? To serve to... Oh. I guess I wouldn't have survived anyways. Made a good amount of money though. I could still watch my boat go, but I cannot get the end chest or the proper amount of gold from the stages. But it does seem that these gators be honking on me platter of rocks. But escapes them victorious, but that's not the end. The lighthouse stage, as always, throws the biggest blow. It went from a whole wide plank to nothing. The third block will be the rusted block with 3 hit points per block. For this run, I'm making my gap wider to allow more rocks to fit through. Now this has a total of 3,000 hit points. I'm definitely surviving this time. Might have to adjust the rules if this becomes too easy. It seems that dodging is easier now, probably. Get noobed. This stage again. Okay, how am I not upside down? Now, back to the ball game, but this time with a plan. I'm balding! At this point, I'm not surprised if I make it out of here alive. It does look terrifying to see all those rocks surrounding my frail boat. Oh, finally! I dodged a rock from one of the last stages. Now we're back in the gator's nest, and one of them finally ate my chair. How dare you. But we finally make it here, and it's progressing just fine. At least until my first support breaks. Now is the final fall. Will we survive? Yes, we do. And there goes my companion. Rusted blocks are our first survivor. But how will the rest go? The fourth block will be the metal block with 4 hit points per block. For this run, Done. I'm going to make my sports extra thick. Now, this has a total of 4,000 hit points. How bad could this be? Oh, the one stage I only remember for it tracking notes to somewhere as far as my block, and the fact that neither I nor this stage has rhythm, because this music's terrible. The bowling stage doesn't seem to be too eventful, except for me knocking out a tiny amount of pins. What's ironic is that I don't actually suck at bowling. I also managed to dodge a few sponges, but not the washer. Whoever owns this house really likes their stuff clean. And I managed to lose my chair from a freaking...
Tylko jedno w głowie mam, koksu 5 gram, odlecieć sam w krainę zapomnienia.
The car stage may have only painted my boat with tomatoes and cabbage, but the lighthouse stage is where I'm more curious. But I still fall down the waterfall with only a missing arm and a decaying toe. I definitely need to change a rule. Fifth block will be the concrete block with 5 hit points per block. For this run, I will use 300 concrete blocks instead of 1,000 to create balance in favor of this challenge, but that doesn't mean my total hit point count is below 1,000. In fact, this has a total of 1,500 hit points. This will survive, right? Oh, come on! My first heavy hit started at the bowling stage, which is fine, but at least I knocked out 5 pins. That's half. Again, I attempted to make the ball miss my chair, so I'm still safe for the wacky movement stages. And I managed to make it out of that madness and put my butt back on that chair. Very handsome artwork. I hate Doritos. What surprises me with this stage is that I wasn't flipped upside down from those waves, but the real concern is the thunderstorms that end up snatching my chair and that tornado. Also my eyes, more important than the natural disasters. My boat does not seem to be doing well, but at least it made it to the end. I didn't though. The 6th block will be the marble block with 6 hit points per block. For this run, I'm actually going to try to protect myself with this marble box. Now this has a total of 1,800 hit points. Plus, here's the story for how I learned that grass is actually plastic. Trust me, it's real. I didn't box myself up for the music stage though, but it may have helped anyways. I was also thinking that the candy train would demolish my chair, but it didn't. Also, ouch, ice cream? Where? I actually made the shield for these things. Part off. I was also thinking that this would also protect me from these thunderstorms, and maybe they did? How would I know though? I live under a box. And my chair is gone. Wonderful. I also would have guessed that this is where my box collapses, and I was right. It did. Mostly. The 7th block will be the titanium block with 7 hit points per block. For this run, I just used a thick platform composed of 250 titanium blocks. Now this has a total of 1,750 hit points. It's less. The music stage didn't do too much damage, which is odd. Oh, the train passed by. I'm safe! Even if I tried to make these things miss, they got my chair anyways. And there's a stage that can say that that is awful. To me. Well, at least I survived, and no longer fish food. I didn't think the alien cow stage would be a problem, nor the... And surprisingly, neither was the lighthouse stage. Yippee! But seems that it only took half damage throughout the entire run? The second to last block will be the obsidian block with 8 hit points per block. For this run, I noticed that the western stage got loaded, so I gave myself a roof, totaling to 300 blocks, but it may be more vulnerable to damage for it being composed of multiple blocks. Now this has a total of 2,400 hit points. Seems alright. Some of these first hits do seem to be damaging my bow, and these tornadoes grabbing only a singular duplicate of my bow. Wait, how did I take damage? Now this is where my strategy comes into use, since the tumbleweeds can't whack my head off, but that doesn't mean the bees wouldn't sting. And for some reason the retro wave stage didn't seem to hurt much, but it turns my obsidian blocks into a marble texture. Why does that happen? And all of a sudden, one of my supports are almost gone. The thunderstorms also seem to have penetrated my roof, which doesn't seem to hurt, again, but when I approach the lighthouse stage is when one of my 4 supports dies. The waterfall comes and... Wait, how is that support not dead? But nonetheless, it made it to the end with only one leg missing, like me. And the final basic block, that is, the one you get every time you reach the end, the gold block. The strongest scalable block with 9 hit points per block. For this run, I just made a platform and a tiny roof made of 450 blocks. Now this has a total of 4050 hit points, as it should be. I mean, it's the gilded block. It deserves a bit of respect. The first few stages, not a problem, including the arcade stage with the poopy invaders and the ice cream stage with Thomas the Diabetes engine and me going bald. My hopes continue to be up until I get to the UFO stage, where I remember these things sucking at my blocks before, but for some reason, I was just fine, even with the lab stage. Okay, this should definitely do something, right? Fun fact, you can make something like this jump if you have a tight roof and a seat. After that madness, I finally lost my seat, but made it to the end and fed that glorious chest 1000 of every basic scalable block available to me. First block will be the smooth wood block with 1 hit point per block. For this run, I'm going to try to make this wider to avoid more damage. Now this has a total of 1000 hit points. Here we go. I only hit 6 rocks in the first stage and a lot more in the other. And then this thing comes and destroys my dodging space. Imagine seeing this on a tiny boat. For some reason I finally gained my dodging space back, but it's in the western stage with giant tumbleweeds in which none of them hit me except for one tumbleweed burger, and I lose my seat to freaking and my first support to a donut. These flashes didn't do as much damage as I would have visualized, but then a piece of paper breaks my last support and then my main platform. Still made good money nonetheless. The second block will be the fabric block with 1 hit point per block. For this run, I tried making this taller and longer to avoid the taller obstacles that the stages will serve to me. Now this has a total of 1000 hit points. Something about this fabric makes me sleepy. The second stage already seems to be getting a jump on my legs, which is minorly concerning, but then this stage tries to slam dunk my head to the water and my chair to oblivion, and this mess again. Whoa! I almost got hit by a tumbleweed. Wait, why isn't the side of this changing? Did this glitch? It's still breaking these obstacles, but it's not being tanked in size as it should be. So it seems that the rest of this is me strolling through the stages until I reach the lighthouse stage. None of these rocks are changing in any form, nor is my boat. So I will count this as unsuccessful. Not my fault fabric blocks are visceral. The third block will be the grass block with 1 hit point per block. For this run, I tore a piece of my plot off and turned it into my dodging technique boat. Now this has a total of 1000 hit points. For blades of grass, for the first stage, I hit one and dodge one, which does not much compared to me manipulating lightning to my will. But as I can see from this, my boat is super light, so I was in the bowling stage for a while, 5 pins down. Now here's where things get dangerous. Since I'm on a tightrope of my platform, I'm dead if I'm knocked around enough. Surprise, surprise, I did die. And so did my plot piece. The fourth block will be the sand block with 2 hit points per block. For this run, I tried to make this shorter and wider so my base platform has more survivability. Now this has a total of 2000 hit points. Wait, shouldn't I die if I'm touching water? Something that contends to the downside of this is that I'm completely vulnerable to gears, which means less damage dodged. Wait, where's my boat? The computer stage tries to snatch my chair again, but apparently flesh is more important than freaking metal. And again, the bowling stage hinders me from having good boat health. Finally! Then the theater stage comes and ruins my chair. Fortunately, it also flipped my water upside down. I'm alive! The hut stage didn't seem to do much, except when the stage said goodbye with a farewell bomb. But then the stage comes and obliterates part of my main platform, which is furthered as a threat when this stage comes along and serves me its tidal waves, in which I surfed well. But then the lighthouse stage comes in and destroys my main platform and my supports. Still made a good amount of money though. The second and final block will be the coal block with 5 hit points per block. For this run, I just made a platform composed of 500 blocks. Now this has a total of 2,500 hit points. This should survive, right? I did casually stroll through the first 3 stages and admire the view of the jungle, and then the boat invaders come and I successfully protected my chair from them. Now something that I was shocked to find out was I had to jump off my boat until there was a gap between me and the bowling balls, which tanked my HP significantly. I did knock down 8 pins though. The chemical stage also went well, maybe, but then these pufferfish tag along and destroy a good chunk of my boat and my head. Then the lighthouse stage comes, which already looks like I would lose my boat here. Fortunately, I survived with a mere stick of my bow, which shortly dies after the fall. So close. The final block will be the brick block with 5 hit points per block. For this run, I made a simple 600 block platform to minorly buff this. Now this has a total of 3,000 hit points. At least this isn't my house. The first few stages are fine, as usual, making the boat invaders miss my boat, and of course my chair dying to bowling balls, and me surviving the ball bombardment suicide mission, only knocking down 1 pin. But then I gained a new brain cell and jumped to make these balls miss my boat. At least from behind. The chemical stage also didn't do much except for inflicting the sun onto my boat. The pufferfish stage also does a bit, and gave the stage some friends. And my boat pretty much stays in solid condition until the lighthouse stage comes and takes a chunk off my boat. But then I make it out there with a plank worth of bricks left, even after the fall. Which then gives me the chest and me successfully bringing 1,000 of every building block to the end. First block will be the plastic block with 1 hit point per block. For this run, you know plastic for having almost no weight, so I made a funny contraption to make my weight affect the boat even further than just being on top, which also brings risk. Now this has a total of 1,000 hit points out of the lightest block. Take it or hit a rock. I take my first hit and immediately notice the push it gave me, along with the other first stages, but then my ramp breaks, eliminating a chance of backup survival. But at least I avoided the diabetes train. But then here's where things are tense. I have a singular support left and tumbleweeds are significantly heavier than me, extending the time I get in the western stage. Then the arcade stage comes and breaks my last support. But fortunately, my roof took a lot of the hits given to me by them boat invaders. But then here's the unfortunate part. I'm on the edge and this is the B stage, meaning these honey drops are doing significant damage to my boat, thus for ending my run. The second block will be the toy block with 1 hit point per block. For this run, I used the regular dodging technique, but with a reinforced roof. Now this has a total of 1,000 hit points. But other than that, the dodging technique served well for that one gigantic rock, and thanks to collision, diabetes train ended up shredding a whole surplus of my boat. I don't want your diabetes! Now this is where the roof comes the most in handy, since tumbleweeds would just smack the roof and move on. But then the boat invaders flipped me over and I protected my chair once more. Fortunately, I'm not on the edgekin, so those honey things won't be smack dabbling on my supports and floors. Sweet as honey. You know, except for that. But then this is when there's high risk, and my death. But didn't seem that my boat survived, so I count it as dead. The third block will be the glass block with 1 hit point per block. For this run, I made the simple dodging technique boat, but this time with no roof. Now this has a total of 1,000 hit points, or maybe less if you have a sledgehammer. I started off dodging a whole slew of rocks and logs, which was good. I managed to dodge a few gears as well, but who considers gears as threats? Again, I managed to dodge the diabetes train, but then we have this stage, capable of flipping me round, which it did, but then my chair breaks, but I managed to make it back onto my platform with a price to pay for my accidental wings, which I do with the green pufferfish, along with my eyes. Thanks to the rocks, my main platform dies and one of my supports flips over after I die. A traitor it is. The second to last block will be the foil block with 3 hit points per block. For this run, I remembered something. These are bouncy, so How can I regulate this to not fling me out of the map? Well, I boxed myself up like I did with the marble boat, which may not work, but oh well. Now this has a total of 3,000 hit points and a hectic mood. The first hit I take ends up flinging me around and slowing me down. So, after a while, I realized that jumping can stop my boat from shaking until I hit another rock. The tactic served me well until I reached the theater stage where this happened. Yeah, I'm not that heavy. The final block will be the ice block with 3 hit points per block. For this run, I used that pretty much banal dodging tactic. Got anything better? Now this has a total of 3,000 hit points, plus a noticeable slipperiness when I approached the first few stages, which didn't hurt. Ice is not as fragile as glass. The western stage, as chaotic as it seemed, was just rolling me by while minorly bombarding me. But then the electricity stage comes and again, I attempt to prevent the lightning from sparking my seat away. Fortunately, compared to my platform boats, there were no suicide missions here, but then my boat is served ball for chair, with 3 pins down. Now we're back with the gators, which passed me by and made it to... Now my first support breaks, then my second. Now here's an advantage to having an ice boat. It's slippery, therefore if I encounter a slope, I should slide down and prevent the many more hits, which happened a few and left me with this slab of ice, down the waterfall, and my death. But at least the ice block made it. And that was 1,000 of every scalable block obtainable to the end. I hope this was interesting, and I hope I get to make more videos like this in the future. Thanks for watching. Plus, I also got this funny block from a plushie with a top hat. So, let's see. It says... subscribe. What?